Well, we are looking in a little bit more detail at one of our top stories this morning, job creation. Fitch has come out with their quarterly report. We are looking at 3% growth quarter on quarter, 6% year on year for the region. Very pleased to be joined by managing partner from Fitch, Slav Shakhov. Slav, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Brandy. Thanks for having me.
6% growth year on year, but not all Gulf countries have seen equal growth.
That's true. So Saudi had a very strong rebound, 6% this quarter over 0% growth in Q3, whereas UAE had 3% growth versus 9% in Q3.
Right, let's start with the UAE, 3% quarter on quarter, bang on average. What kind of year for job creation was it as a whole here?
I think holistically that's still good numbers, as UAE had a relatively healthy performance throughout 2023. And at the end of the year, it's only natural to expect some adjustments. Businesses are probably taking time to calibrate, reflect, and plan for 2024.
If we look at Saudi, you've mentioned that 6% rise, but you also said that it's come off flat numbers for the quarter before. What's the bigger picture there?
I think Saudi in general has a very buoyant economy at the moment, and that's just a reflection of that. A number of sectors are pushing ahead with new strategies, and that's reflected in the numbers for Q4. However, we expect even a stronger activity in 2024.
Okay, look, these are percentage increases. If we are to look at the sheer numbers of new jobs being created, what does the split start to look like between countries?
I would say Saudi is leading the charge, with probably talking about 60% or so of the new jobs and not the replacements, because that's not counting those kind of numbers. And then UAE would be number two.
For Q4?
For Q4, yeah.
Right. What about job destruction, though? And this is one of the things we've been discussing this morning in the light of the Citigroup layoffs. Job creation, absolutely fantastic. But have you seen roles go over the last quarter and the last year?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So if you take the tech sector, H1 was pretty flat, and we probably saw a number of layoffs as well. Whereas in Q4, there's been a phenomenal growth as well. So it probably depends from sector to sector too.
Well, if we look at that sector, you mentioned tech, AI, digital, arguably the big winner out of Q4. Are people managing to find the numbers that they want? Talk to me about the growth you've seen there.
Yeah, so I think earlier this year we talked about a lot of conversations happening across AI and data and digital. Well, now they've materialized into concrete jobs, right? And even if you look at the fuller spectrum, there's cyber, I think at 8%, software development at 5%, and cloud at 6%. They're really strong numbers, and business looking to leverage technology more, and that would continue throughout 2024.
Is there a sense, and I guess I'm asking you anecdotally here rather than the quantitative numbers themselves, that companies are redeploying either talent or the money for talent when it comes to these AI jobs, which is a question that's being asked in the banking sector at the moment?
I think it's a bit of both as well, right? So there's an inflow of external talent, but then there's also an initiative to upskill the current workforce and really look to invest and leverage those technologies as well.
I guess what I'm asking is, are we seeing those AI jobs rise at the expense of other roles?
Potentially, but only in certain cases, whereas you would see that AI would be newly created jobs and not necessarily laying off current practices. Not just yet, but I see the trend that it may happen in 2024 more so.
Okay, well, let's look at where else we have seen a notable rise in new roles. Talk me through some of those sectors: manufacturing, HR.
CEO practice, particularly in Saudi, so real estate, which is no surprise, a number of different startups across the board, but also regional HQs in Saudi Arabia. Some businesses opted to take local talent and lead those offices, but some business actually brought external talent to manage that.
That's really interesting. You've seen a 7% uptick, I know, because I've conveniently got the numbers in front of me, in Q4 in the number of CEO roles being created. When you say, especially in Saudi, again, rough feeling, what percentage of those CEO roles are coming from the kingdom?
Q4 in Saudi, 80%.
80%?
Yeah.
And is that the creation of regional HQs?
Not all of it. No, majority of it is Vision 2030, creation of new organizations, development of new sectors. But then regional HQ contributed to that, of course.
With these roles that we're talking about, these new jobs, what would be the rough split between those that are new set-up companies or new companies coming to the region and those that are existing entities here?
That's a very good question. I would say 60 to 70% are newly created companies and startups in Saudi. Now, that's just prevalent for that particular market. The economy is growing and there's a new sector development mandate.
Slav, we've got a number of questions coming in. Abdul Salam has written in, is this job posting or actual hiring? There's a lot of fake postings out there. What's your reaction?
This is actual hiring because this is based on our data and we wouldn't post anything fake, yeah.
So those new companies, new jobs being set up in Saudi Arabia, what industries and what areas are you seeing the most activity?
Manufacturing, we've mentioned that. So automotive is a big push, chemicals, energy. By the way, energy is also strong in the UAE with a forecast of over 8% of the oil economy growth. Agriculture is another sector. Particularly Saudi mining will grow quite significantly as well.
And where are you finding the people to fill these roles? Are they coming in from outside or already here?
It's a bit of both. I think it's typical for the region to look for external talent, but also try to utilize local talent as much as possible. There's a big drive to upskill national talent in Saudi as well, bring new skills and train the workforce to adapt to that.
What's happening to the length of the hiring cycle for these roles, particularly in the C-suite?
If you're recruiting internationally, that takes a bit of time. It's finding the right talent, assessing, and then also bringing them on board. So I think if it's international, that takes quite a bit of time still.
Okay, so this is where we are at the moment. What is your outlook for job creation in 2024? What are you expecting to see?
I think there's been growth, and we're quite optimistic about 2024. If you've seen the report, finance jobs are on the rise as well, strategy, investment, and the overall legal as well. So I would say we're quite positive in 2024.
And of course, 40 seconds left with you. What effect is all of this having on wages? What did you see in Q4?
We are seeing growth. So we've predicted 4.5% growth in UAE for 2024, which is quite solid, and 6% for Saudi, which is the highest ever increase we predicted since we started doing this kind of reports.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and running us through those numbers this morning. Slav Shakhov is the managing partner at Fitch, coming in with their Q4 job creation report. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
By 103.8.
Join the conversation.